In an industry stuffed with marketing bullshit, empty promises, and shiny-suited liars, one woman's had enough. She knows what it's like to have the wrong clients, no money, and no time for fun. But she also knows how to fix it. And on the Business for Superheroes show, she promises to tell the down and dirty truth about business, sales, and running away with the circus. Here's your host, Vicky Fraser.
Hello there and welcome to the Business for Superheroes show. I'm Vicky Fraser and this is a very tired man.
Hello.
Hello. Are you super tired?
I am both tired and hungry.
I too am hungry. So let's get on with this podcast.
Right.
This week we are drinking no gin because I totally forgot to text you and ask you to get tonic on the way home. So we're drinking white wine. We're drinking Gayrel Sauvignon Blanc Supérieur Vin de France. It's got a big fingerprint on the label and it's Naked Wines. I believe it came from Naked Wines.
I think it did.
And even though it's white wine, it's quite nice. Cheers.
Cheers.
Not Prosecco, I much prefer Prosecco. So, right, I wanted to start off with a thank you to the lovely podcast listener who sent me a little gift and a lovely message on a postcard. So yeah, the postman arrived this morning and I was out and about in the garden and he waved a parcel at me. I was like, oh, a parcel. So I went and got it and I opened it up because I wasn't expecting anything for once. And inside was a coaster, a little drinks coaster with Lieutenant Woof on it. Or Lieutenant Wolf, if I'm being properly British, I suppose. Which is really cute. And a postcard with kangaroos on it who are cheering for me. And it was just a little response to the podcast that we did a few weeks ago where I was not in a very good place. And it was just really lovely. And it was the person who sent it to me hasn't signed it, so I don't know who it is, so I can't thank you personally, but I know you listened, so thank you so much. That was just really kind and thoughtful, and it made my day. And my drink is sat on Lieutenant Wolf's face. Too much American TV, man.
Yeah.
Do you say lieutenant or lieutenant?
It's lieutenant, isn't it?
It is now. It kind of is lieutenant now. The French lieutenant's woman, the French lieutenant's woman. There's probably like a whole generation of people who are grinding their teeth at us right now. Yeah. Like, it's lieutenant! But language evolves, guys. Get over it.
That does. Oh, that was nice. That was good of somebody.
It was super lovely, so thank you. If you would like to let me know who you are, I would very much like to thank you. But if you don't want to let me know who you are, then that's cool too. Okay, anyway, so following on from pricing last week, I had a couple of emails saying thank you for a great episode. You are welcome. This actually does follow on. We're going to be talking about the importance of setting rules in your business.
Okay.
Rules for you and rules for your clients and customers. And this is a good thing because it actually allows you to charge more, and having strict rules, in fact, creates happier, more loyal clients.
Interesting.
Yeah. Might sound a bit weird, but it is true. Would you like me to explain why?
I would. I'm interested in what sort of rules you're talking about. I'm interested in all kinds of things, yes.
Well, no feet on the table, no shoes in the house, no... Okay, they're not the rules I'm talking about. But I mean, they might be rules. If you do your business at home, I would be annoyed if somebody came in and put their feet on my table.
Yeah.
So, you know... Anyway, but yes, so the reason why people like rules, even if they say they don't, they're lying. 99.9% of people like rules, and there are very good reasons for that. Dan Kennedy had a really good quote, and he said that, this is Dan Kennedy, the marketing
Hi, Dan.
man. That would be so cool. He said, most people are walking around with their umbilical cords in their hands, looking for some place to plug it in.
It's kind of a gross...
It's kind of a gross analogy.
Coming out of my head, yeah.
Yeah, but it makes sense. And what he meant by that was that people want to be told what to do. They want. And if you think about this, it's true. People crave rules because rules let us know where we are, how we need to behave, what's going to happen. They set our expectations.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're kind of just drifting around, and it's like you get you get people who are like, screw the rules, man, fuck the police, that kind of thing, and without rules, society would fall apart. You know, there are people who will call themselves libertarians, and I'm looking at you, John and Wegard, who will scoff at this, and they'll be like, fuck the police, we can do what we want. But
they still drive on the correct side of the road.
They still drive on the correct side of the road, and, you know, presumably they still pay the taxes that they believe are theft, because, you know, they use all of the things that taxes pay for. So,
hi John, hi Wegard.
Hi guys! I have this argument with them often, and I'm just like, yeah, I love the idea of libertarian stuff, but if you take it far enough, then society will fall apart, because...
You reach the nonsense.
And because you need rules. You know, rules make things...
That's a social contract, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the social contract, and, you know, you can choose to break the rules, but you don't get to escape the consequences of breaking those rules. You can choose to do whatever you like, and I think that's kind of the ultimate... I think, actually, John and Wegard would agree with this. That's the ultimate libertarian thing, is that, you know, if you decide not to abide by the rules set by society, you are perfectly within your rights to do that, but you don't get to escape the consequences.
You don't get to live within society at that point.
No, you don't. And those guys would totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we want rules. We want to know how to behave. We want to know what to expect. And if you have children, you will understand the truth of this, because children are happier when they have boundaries and rules. If you let kids do whatever the hell they want, that's a recipe for parental misery, probably delinquency, and also total childhood misery. Kids need rules, and kids are small humans. I think a lot of people forget that kids are small humans, you know?
Kids are small humans?
Yeah.
Like actual people?
Yeah. You know what really bugs me? I'm slightly going off on a tangent here. It really bugs me when people talk about children as if they're not there. As if they're not, like, fully... As if they're not humans, as if they're not proper people.
Okay.
You know, because I don't see it that often. It's not like I walk around and I'm like, oh my God, there's terrible parents everywhere, because that's not the case. But every now and then I will hear somebody talking about children as if they're not like real people. And it just bothers me. It's like that, you know, children should be seen and not heard. That's total bullshit. It's like, why? I mean, I don't like listening to children scream, but I'll just take myself somewhere else. Anyway, slight tangent. But yeah, kids are small humans, and they behave similarly to large humans. And, you know, there's certain aspects of humanity that doesn't really change. You know, we squash our inner toddler down, but it never really goes away. Rules are a good thing. So this is all about rules in your business. And it's all about, really, the fact that people will treat you how you allow them to treat you.
Sure.
So if you allow people to step all over you, then that's exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah, people will... typically sort of wander around doing what they want to do until they hit a boundary. If they don't know what the boundary is, they'll just stomp all over the place.
Yeah. And, you know, it's not even their fault. You can't even blame them for doing that. And humans test boundaries. Kids test boundaries. Humans test boundaries. It's like, how far can I push this? It's kind of it's human nature to do so. If you don't push back, then they'll bash through it, like you said, and, you know, stomp all over you. What are you doing with your hand?
Well, I've got a little blister which got burnt with lime over the weekend. So what I've got is a little burn on my hand. Okay, well, the rules for this podcast are that you don't stare at your hand while we're doing it. Very irritating.
I know.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Back in the room. So, you've completely derailed my train of thought.
Humans stomping around all over the place, looking for boundaries.
So yeah, people will treat you how you allow them to treat you, basically. I'm looking at you here, Joe. Allowing people to ask you questions willy-nilly at work. When you could be like, okay, I am available between 11 a.m. and 12 noon for all of the questions that you want to ask me. And this is actually a really good rule that you can set if you manage people or if you have clients or whatever. Because if you tell people you're only going to ask questions between a certain time, and 11 a.m. and 12 noon seems like as good a time as any, in that intervening time, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to go and try and solve their problem for themselves unless they're totally incapable. And that's a good thing. So, you know, this setting expectations thing is really important. And it's super important because if you don't set expectations at the start and then you realise that your business is shit and you hate your clients, you will find it almost impossible to change people's behaviour once you've set the precedent.
Yes.
So that's
you have to completely change all of your clients.
You would, or you would have a long, hard slog to, it's not
difficult.
It's not impossible to change people's behaviour, but it will be really difficult, and people will resent you for it because when you move the goalposts like that,
it's not fair. It's unreasonable. It's
you're
changing the rules,
and it is unreasonable. You know, if you look at it from the client's point of view, it's totally unreasonable. Even if they're behaving like total dickheads, it's like, well, you're allowing them to do so. So to then expect them to change is not really very reasonable. So that's the most important reason to set rules. Okay, so people are probably thinking, well, what kind of rules can we set?
What are your rules?
Well, I have a bunch of rules. I was thinking about this when I was writing the notes. So, I don't answer the phone during the day, ever. Mm-hmm. In fact, I don't have a phone answering service. Even Mom knows not to phone me. If my mom rings me outside of, lunchtime, I know that there's, it's pretty serious. If I hear it at all, it's... So I don't answer calls at all. I expect people to leave me a voicemail. And by the way, if you don't leave me a voicemail, I'm not going to ring you back. It really irritates me when people do that. I expect people to leave me a voicemail and tell me what they want or drop me an email. Mm-hmm. That's cool. It's not that I don't ever phone people or speak to people on the phone, but I don't just accept calls. And this is super important as well. And this is super important for, I have people say to me all the time, but what if my clients need to get hold of me? I need to be there. How can you work on client projects and give them your full attention and do a good job if you are constantly picking up the phone to put out other people's fires? If it really bothers you, if you really think that you need to be available on the end of the phone for people, just think about it that way. You're not serving them by doing so.
Yeah.
And if you really think somebody needs to be answering the phone, call answering services are ludicrously cheap.
Yeah.
How much is Moneypenny? It's something like 50p a call or something, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Super cheap.
We used to use Moneypenny, they were great.
Yeah, and there are, many other call answering services out there. I know that my friend James Daniel uses a call answering service, and he said it was something like 18p a call, or, and the guys answering the phone will... You teach them. You teach them how, you train them how you want them to do things. And then, after a while, they just stop taking calls from certain numbers and companies because they know you're not going to be interested. So if it's like PPI claim stuff and, they won't put those through. It's a really good filtering service. And if you have an answering service, then your clients still then get that personal...
Somebody to talk to and somebody who takes a message and somebody will pass it on. And
yeah. So there are alternatives to it, but you absolutely should not be answering the phone whenever it rings. Because you just can't. It destroys your train of thought. Totally destroys it. There's nothing more intrusive than a ringing phone.
Yeah. Well, they're designed to be intrusive, aren't they?
Yes.
That's exactly, the two-tone bell thing was psychologically designed to make you do something. Go and get it. Pay attention.
Yeah. And, I love the phone. It's a brilliant invention. But it has its place.
Yeah.
The same goes for emails as well. There's nothing more irritating than that ding, ding, ding of a new email arriving. And it's like digital crack as well. You have to, once you've seen a notification, you have to look at it. It pulls at you, doesn't it? It's like, oh, who's this? What's it? Somebody wants to talk to me. It might be really exciting. And then you get sucked into like a fashion website with trousers on sale, which is exactly what happened to me earlier.
Okay. So those are some of your rules.
Yeah. Don't accept calls. Mm-hmm. Don't answer your emails straight away, but tell people, I answer my emails between X and X. I don't know if that's still on my autoresponder, actually, my out of office thing. I think I need to change that. Tell people on your voicemail message when you check your voicemail. I check my voicemail twice a day. You get back to people. There is nothing that can't wait a couple of hours.
Yeah.
There really isn't, unless you're a doctor on call. There's really no reason. Another one of my rules is I don't accept calls just for a chat. If somebody uses the word chat, that's kind of a red flag to me already. Because it's like, I'm actually really busy and I don't like small talk.
Yeah.
So don't accept calls just for a chat. This is a total waste of everyone's time. If you want to meet or call for free, that's, I don't have a problem with people doing that, but you have to make it worth your while. So set an agenda. It's like, these woolly calls that are just for a chat, they meander and they wind and they go nowhere and you've spent half an hour wasting time. You don't need to spend 5 minutes at the beginning of every call asking, oh, how are you? Isn't the weather rubbish? Ask how are you? That's fine. Even then, I'm a bit like, don't start an email with how are you? Oh, my goodness, that's one of my pet hates. Because you don't mean it. Anyway, that's a different topic. But yeah, don't just, accept calls and meet people just for a chat. Unless you genuinely want to meet a mate and have a chat. But if it's a potential client, it's going to be a waste of your time. So find out enough about them, get them to put some skin in the game as well, enough to frighten off tire kickers. Mm-hmm. This is a really useful thing to do. So if you're going to meet people for free or get on the phone with people for free, get people to fill in a detailed questionnaire or application form before you meet, because the people who can't be bothered to do that, you're well shot of. And the people who can be bothered to do that, they're going to be the people who are a good fit for your business. So they're going to be worth talking to.
Yeah. And they've actually thought about what they want to achieve.
Yes.
Hopefully, by answering your questions.
Yeah, because if you, like, every now and then I'll get somebody get in touch with me like, oh, I really could do with some advice about, you know, marketing and growing my business. And I'm like, well, what specifically, you know, give me something more than that. Otherwise, it's just like, I can't download everything I know about marketing from my brain into your brain in half an hour. And there's no way I would do that anyway.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's out of context. It's why should I give away a lifetime's worth of, you know, wisdom for free? Wisdom.
Wisdom,
that was really dickish. Oh my god, how do I take that back? Rewind.
It's out there now.
Knowledge and skills.
Yeah.
Knowledge and learn skills. So yeah, you know, get people to fill in stuff and ask them and make sure that you're talking to them about something that you can help them with and, you know, that they're going to find worthwhile and that they're not just wasting your time. Because a lot of people who want just to chat get their kicks. And I say kicks. What I mean by kicks is makes them feel like they've accomplished something just by having a chat. Mm-hmm. Those people are often not going to do anything with what you tell them. So it's a waste of your time. And it's just, you know, it's like the vampires. They're vampires. They don't mean to be, but they are.
Yeah.
Another rule that I have is only meet with decision makers. This is a really important one.
Okay.
So if you can't, if the person that you're meeting can't give you a firm yes or no, it's a waste of everyone's time. So there are exceptions to this, I suppose. You might want to talk to a technical person and, you know, I don't know, it might be that somebody first approaches you and they've got this idea for a project. But if I'm going to put my own skin in the game and go and meet with a potential new client about, and, you know, I'm going to go with an action plan and make sure that I've got something to offer them.
Yeah.
So that they can, you know, so it's
which takes time to prepare and research and thinking about and all the rest of it.
Yeah. And, you know, the end of that meeting, and this is a really good tip for anybody, by the way, this should be another rule. You never go to a meeting without actions at the end of it. My action at the end of every meeting with a prospective client is going to be, when do we start? That should be what they're asking you at the end. It should be, when do we start? Not, how can you help me? Because that should be, you get that all out of the way beforehand. Once you're sitting down with somebody, it's like, right, this is what we're going to do. This is when I can do it. When are we going to start? And that should be the question that you're asking. And if you haven't got the decision maker in the room, you're not going to get that yes or no answer. Mm-hmm. So that's super important. If the decision maker isn't there during the meeting or call, cancel it. Make that a rule, make that a firm rule. And I know someone, I can't even remember who this was. I think it might have been John, because it sounds like the kind of thing John would do. He went all the way to London for a meeting. The decision maker bailed on them, kind of leaving him talking to an underling. And he was just like, no, you know what? I've come all the way here. And he's totally, you know, totally right about this. I've come all the way here, and you're now telling me that I'm not going to be speaking to the decision maker. That's a total waste of my time. We are not going to meet, you know, get them in here or I'm gone. Mm-hmm. I've come a long way. I think the decision maker did come back in the end, but, you know, he was on his way out the door because otherwise it's a waste of everybody's time. And it's incredibly rude as well.
Yeah.
You know, if you say you're going to be in a meeting, and this happened to, I think this happened to one of my superheroes the other day, and, you know, the person kind of bailed at the last minute. It's like, that's totally unacceptable behaviour, because what it says is my time is more important than yours.
Yeah.
And setting the expectation that that's acceptable.
Yeah, it's quite a power play, isn't it? It's
a real power play.
It's like, you know, I'm important, you're not. You can talk to one of my people, and you know, I'm in charge here.
Yeah.
It's just it's the start of a bad relationship, isn't it?
Really is, yeah. And, you know, I get super stressed when I'm late because it's really rude. It's rude to be late, and I hate it when other people are late, and I hate it when I'm late, and it's awful because it just, you know, it says, like you say, it comes down to, you know, my time is more important than yours. And it's not. Well, to me it is, but you know what I mean. That makes sense.
You kind of turned it around a little bit at the end there, but yes, I think people got it.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So yeah, set that rule. Only speak with decision makers, and don't let people cancel on you at the last minute, especially if you've turned up. So, somebody else told me, and I hear so many stories that I forget who told them. Another one of my superheroes travelled all the way down to London to meet with a potential client, and they cancelled at the last minute. And it was just, it boggles that it's like, and she was travelling from up north as well. Oof. On the train. And it's like,
I hope she threw him an invoice just for the fun of it.
I think she would now. I don't know if she did then, because this was quite a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. If somebody does that to you, by the way, if a client does that to you, absolutely wang them an invoice. Unless somebody has died, There is no excuse for that kind of behaviour. It's totally vile. So, you invoice them and then you chase them for it.
Yeah.
Because that's just awful behaviour. So yeah. What was my next rule? Okay. So yeah. Sean D'Souza from Psychotactics. Hi, Sean. Who is total rock star. He only allows people to take his courses and workshops if they have read his book, The Brain Audit. And this is a great idea.
Okay.
And it's one that I pinched because it means that the person who you're possibly going to be selling something to is totally familiar with who you are, your values, how you work, what your style is, and they're not going to be surprised.
Yeah.
So that's really important. I do the same with my books as well. If somebody wants to work with me, they need to read the book. Apart from anything else, because Business for Superheroes is a crash course in kind of marketing and running a business. And if you implement all of the stuff in there, you're going to be in a really... If you implemented all the stuff in that book, and this drives me nuts when people read the book and then they're like, I'm not getting results. It's like, have you done the things in the book? Because if you haven't, then that's why. And if you have, then, let's look at why it's not working for you. Because I know it works because I've done it and I do it for my clients and, my superheroes do it and it works for them. And so it's just like, so yeah, that's a really good reason because it means that somebody's already got that base level of knowledge that we can build on. And I'm not working with total newbies, which is quite important because I don't want to work with total newbies. And it's, nothing against total newbies. I was a total newbie, but I learned my stuff through books like mine and, through going to workshops.
And as well, it means that if they do implement all the things that you tell them in the book, then they're probably earning enough money to actually be able to afford you.
Yes, exactly, which is really important.
Which is important because getting those bills paid is kind of one of the deals.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. I don't want anyone working with me who can't afford to do so. And, I've given people money back and refused to work with people before because I know that they can't afford it. And I'm not interested in that. There's plenty of free information out there that will get people out of that rut.
Yeah.
So, okay. So the other thing that I do always is if you know something is not in a client's best interest, but you often get asked for it, set rules banning it. And by that, I mean, I'm often asked for like an email, a sales email.
Can you write me an email?
Can you write me an email? Or, can you write me a couple of emails? And my answer to that is no, I'm not going to. I don't just sell sales emails to randoms, and I certainly don't just sell one because one email on its own is going to do naff all.
It's not a campaign, is it?
It's not a campaign. It might sell some stuff, but I know that my clients are going to get better results if there's a series of them. But even more than that, I don't even just sell emails. I sell a package. It's like the emails plus a landing page plus the follow-up, plus I want to input into the ad, and I want to have a look at their whole process. Because if I write some cracking emails that are like really bloody good, and they will be if I write them, if the landing pages, the ads, the follow-up and the service and the product is crap, there is nothing that I can do that will make that product sell.
Yeah. And
who's going to get blamed for it if it doesn't sell?
Well, you.
It's me, and that's unacceptable. It's unacceptable to me. And also, I don't want to take money from people for something that I know isn't going to work. To me, that's unethical.
Yeah.
And that applies to, pretty much anything. You can do similar with products. If I had a pet shop, I would refuse to sell single rats or single rabbits or single guinea pigs because they will get lonely. You shouldn't do it. And I think a lot of pet shops do that now. If you sell beautiful handcrafted wooden furniture, you could insist that people buy the care package to go with it because then you know that they're going to get the best out of their furniture and they can't come back and be like, oh, I've got this scratch on it and, whatever.
It's got a bit green.
Yeah. And it's like, well, have you looked after it? Well, I kind of used flash on it. Yeah. It's like, well, that'll be why then. So, there's a really good reason for setting rules like that in your business.
Yeah. It's
better for you, it's better for the customer.
And your product will then function properly and do its job.
Yes. Here's another one. Setting timelines. I expect feedback within a certain amount of time if I'm doing some copywriting for people.
Okay.
If it takes months, I'm going to charge people extra for that. And there are three really good reasons for that. First, it keeps projects moving. Second, it takes a lot of time and energy to get back into a project after you've forgotten about it and moved on.
Sure.
And so if
you need to maintain that momentum.
Yeah. And so if somebody comes back to me with amendments 6 months later, I've got to refamiliarise myself with that whole process. Yeah. Nah, I'm not going to do that unless you pay me more money for it. Because I've moved on mentally. And third, the client gets a better service and feels like things are happening as well. Yeah. There's an incentive for them, to get on with things. So that, I think, is, if you're a newbie copywriter or creative type person working with clients, that's a really important thing to remember. Put it in your contract.
So these are all good rules that you've got going on, and I'm sure lots of business owners could steal them or borrow them or modify them or come up with their own or decide what's important to them and what isn't. But how do you communicate these with your customer or your potential customer? How do you get it all kind of
in many ways
in their head?
Blog posts, articles, email series. Blog posts are a great way to do this because content marketing, this is the reason we write articles and write blog posts, because these are all going to be common questions. How do I work with you? How do you work? When you work with me, this is what you can expect. It's all in my book. This is part of the reason I want people to read my book, because these rules are more or less kind of set out there. It's not like here are the rules.
So do you are they part of the proposal when you or the plan when
Absolutely, yeah. So when I send, for example, if I was sending an action plan for a potential coaching client, a book coaching client or something, then in there is like, here's what you can expect from me, and here's what I will expect from you. It's like, you will make all your calls on time, you do the homework, you don't argue with me unless you've got, because I don't want people saying, well, that's not going to work in my business. I haven't got time for that shit. It's like, try it. If it doesn't work, then we'll look at something else. So yeah, it goes all over the place in your articles, in the book that you really want to be writing, and I can help you with that. Also in the contract that you send out to people, the action plan or proposal or contract or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And it's important to put this stuff in contracts as well. Kill fees goes together with that. Mm-hmm. So if you're working on something big and long term and you've set aside time to do it, you can't book any of the work in, because your time is booked up. If the client kills it after 2 months, they're killing your time as well. And if you can't book another client in to fill that work that you were promised, kill fees are quite a common thing if you're working on big projects, and they're perfectly reasonable. Yeah. Because it will stop tire kickers, because you say to people right up front, before you even start working, if you kill the project within 3 months, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Yeah. It's like mortgage companies do it, don't they, with early repayment fees?
Yeah, you're backing away. Yeah, for sure.
Do you guys do that?
We have had, in some instances, yes, there are.
Because I can imagine there's a lot of investment goes into prepping a project for people.
There's a lot of thought and time that goes into it, yeah.
Yeah. And so, it's perfectly reasonable to set kill fees, especially in like copywriting and design and that kind of thing. Because it's not your problem. Of course, if you do manage to book another client fast and fill the time, you can always return the kill fee to the original client. And I would absolutely do that, because
cancel the invoice or whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, because I think that builds goodwill and, all the rest of it. But if I can't book my time up again, then damn right I'm going to take the kill fee. Yeah. Because it's, it's not my problem. So you can certainly do that. Set penalties for late payment as well, and give incentives for people to pay on time or pay early. And tell people how you want to be paid as well. I don't accept checks ever, because they're a massive pain in the arse. I don't accept PayPal for subscriptions, because it's a massive pain in the arse to set up. I rarely accept PayPal for anything at all, in fact, because their fees are really high for businesses. Mm-hmm. So, if you decide how you want to receive money and tell people, because if they don't like it, they can choose to do business elsewhere, and that's fine. Yeah. If they really want to do business with you, they can choose to shop, they can choose to do as they're told, or, whatever. And set boundaries as well. If you don't work weekends or evenings, that's cool. Just tell people. People are fine with stuff as long as they know what to expect, generally. And if they're not, then why do you want to work with them? Rush jobs. If you've got rush job, charge a rush fee. If somebody wants something super quick, I'm going to double it or triple it, because usually it's because I don't want to do it, and so usually they'll say no. Yeah,
we do it on a schedule, please. Makes more sense.
Yeah, and if they really want to do it and I'm charging 3 or 4 times the fee, then I'm absolutely going to make sure it's worth my while. Yeah. And you can, if you're giving out samples and stuff, I want to tell the tiny bathtub story. So we're looking at bathtubs at the moment because we're vaguely close-ish to getting a bathroom. Mm-hmm. And I found copper bathtubs, and they look lovely.
They do.
They do. And there's a company that makes them, and I had a look, and they will send you a sample, and it's not just like a sample of copper. They will make you a miniature bathtub that's like 6 inches long out of the material that you want. So like brushed copper on the outside and polished copper on the inside, and it's just a miniature. And I was like, I want one of those. So I rang them up today and said, I would like a sample of your bathtub, please. And they said, certainly, it's £195 and we'll knock that off the price of the bath. And I was like, oh, I better check with my husband, because if I buy a £195 tiny miniature bathtub, he might actually have a shit fit. And she said, no, that's perfectly reasonable. Would you like me to send you some swatches of copper material? I was like, yes, do that. But, you know, I'm absolutely going to buy one if we decide on a copper bathtub, because how cute is that? But that's a really good rule, because it gets rid of tyre kickers, saves us sending loads of tiny bathtubs out to muppets like me who like miniature things. And it means that they're only putting effort into people who are actually worthwhile putting effort into.
Yeah.
And so that's a really good rule. You know, I'm probably going to get a tiny bathtub anyway. Just not going to tell you.
Well, when I spot the tiny copper bathtub knocking around the house, I'll be like, oh, right, okay.
Yeah, but that's going to be like months away. Anyway,
we're half an hour in.
Yeah. So there was a whole bunch of other stuff I wanted to say, but like, okay. Possibly one of the most important, always under promise so that you can over deliver. Because this isn't just about rules for making your life easier. This is about rules for making your customers' experience better.
Yeah.
And it's really tempting, especially when you're new in business, to overpromise stuff out of, you know, I really want this job. But if you are honest with people...
It's like, yes, I can do that by Friday.
Yeah, and I've been there, I've done it, and it's, you know, it's a horrible place. It sucks, and it makes you look like a total dickhead. And I tell you now, people respect you more if you say, actually, I can't do it by then. You know, I totally understand if you want to go elsewhere.
But I can't do it by Friday.
But I can't do it by Friday. I'm not going to promise you that I can. Because and people will respect you for that, and even if they don't work with you this time, they will remember it, and they might come back another time. So that's super important. So what's this week's takeaway, Joe?
If you don't set the rules in your business, your customers, your clients, the people you interact with, they'll make their own up, and they may not suit you.
No, they won't.
They won't suit you. They will mess you around and make everybody's lives more uncomfortable.
They will treat you the way you allow them to treat you. So remember that. Have you got any questions? Not you, I mean the listeners. Have you got any questions about rules in business or pricing or, in fact, anything?
Have you got any exciting rules in your business?
Yeah, have you got any exciting rules in your business? Anything that you can share with our listeners that they might find useful? Because, you know, if you run a product business or, you know, a different business to what I run, you're going to run it in a different way. So...
Sure.
What rules have you got and how do they work for you? Write in and tell me. And we'll share them on the podcast. Coming up next week is going to be either the power of a well-placed retreat, if I can get Misty on the phone.
Cool.
Or it's going to be finding your inner toddler and letting them free.
Nice.
I know, right? And by the way, speaking of well-placed retreats, if you would like to come to San Diego with me and Misty and Joe...
Hello.
Drop me an email with the subject line San Diego baby and we'll send you all of the information. It's going to be 2 full days, all accommodation and meals included, and we will dig into your business, pull it to bits, put it back together again and send you away with an amazing plan to actually get stuff done. And we've launched 2 new businesses off the back of our previous Breaking Breads. We've been told that we've changed lives, and it's just been super cool. And it's not going to be out of the realms of possibility to pay for. We want this to be affordable. It's not going to be a $5,000 retreat.
Yeah, this isn't about making money. This is about meeting interesting people and
making connections,
making some friends, and learning some stuff.
Yep. So if you're interested, this isn't a commitment. If you're interested in any way, email me with the subject line San Diego baby, and we will send you the info. We'll be back same time. Oh, no. If you like the podcast, go to iTunes and subscribe and leave us a review. Right, we'll be back same time next week. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Like what you've just heard? Tell your colleagues. Tell your friends. Send them to www.businessforsuperheroes.com/podcast.